We have made a lot of discoveries over the last year of renovating the stone house in the foothills of the Italian Alps.
What in the world? There are so many goats.
We have uncovered a hidden stone staircase, found hidden objects in the walls of our stone house, and we even discovered a natural spring, which we will give you an update on that spring a little later on. But one thing we never expected to stumble upon is a waterfall.
We have a waterfall flowing.
I'm Bradey, this is my wife Heather, and together with our 2 daughters, we are renovating this stone cabin into our dream home. After traveling full-time for nearly 2 years, we decided to settle down here in the Italian Alps as our new home base to adventure from. But rebuilding this historic home has turned into a grand adventure all by itself. Well, good morning. It is a beautiful day here in northern Italy, and I'm in a particularly good mood because we are pouring concrete today. We are building out our foundation, and it just marks a turning point. We're done tearing things down, aside from a few small little areas, but we are now rebuilding our foundation and building back up. I'm very thankful to have my friend Denny here, who is volunteering for the next couple of weeks helping me with this cement, because if my calculations are correct, we have about 70,000 pounds to lift and carry into the house slowly over the next couple of weeks. So I'm very thankful to have the extra muscle here today. So we're just pulling our forms off from yesterday's work. You can see that we tied directly into this stone here. The engineer took a look at this and said, just leave the stone right there. So we tied in some rebar into the stone, poured the concrete over top, and then over here we left a very large hole because we will have both an air escape path here as well as a bunch of tubes and electrical coming into this room from that side of the wall. Today's exciting because we are working on the magrone, which I do not know the word in English for that, but it's the base layer of the crawl space. It's the first layer of concrete, basically just to make the floor flat, and then we will come back and put these plastic igloos over top of it. But honestly, the plastic igloos will come much further into the future. But for now, it'll give us a flat concrete pad to work off of. This, of course, is not the finished floor. We will have additional tubes and airspace, and the crawl space and everything else going in after that before we pour the final concrete floor about 30-35 centimeters above this floor. But it will allow us to bring in scaffolding and proper ladders and work on these beams, which I forgot to do before. So no more hanging from the rafters.
Wow, you're just going for it. Oh my goodness!
We can have a proper scaffolding system to finish up the floors and the beams above me.
Buono. Sono contento.
Very good. What? 160. Perfect. It's 162 over here, but it's fine.
Sì, sì.
162.
Good. Solo una credo, eh. Ok.
Uno, due più.
Una.
So we just had more rain than I've ever witnessed come down in such a short amount of time, and it's really transformed the property. We have a waterfall flowing, which is crazy. This waterfall has been dry for 50 plus years. I've never seen a drop of water come out of it, even during really heavy rain. And we'll see how long this lasts, but we have a waterfall. I was actually driving back from picking up the kids from school, and as we drove back, I witnessed a lot of damage in a nearby town from all of the water. So I'm kind of making my way through the property, making sure all of the dry stacked walls are okay, making sure that the water is diverting the way it's supposed to divert. And thankfully, so far, everything's looking good. But we do have a very large river flowing down the side of the property at the moment. These are the stairs that I cleaned off a couple months ago and revealed, and right next to it is a good sized river. It's honestly amazing to me how resilient these dry stack stone walls are to this amount of water. And that's because they just weep the water right out. There's no possibility for the water to be backed up, to become backlog, and to compromise these walls, because there is no mortar. The water just soaks right through all of the cracks and pours out. Whereas modern day walls often will become overwhelmed by the small amount of drainage holes that are put in. These walls have stood the test of time for 700 plus years. So I know what a lot of people are gonna be wondering, and what happened to the dirt that we dug up amidst this torrential downpour. And to be honest, it is perfectly fine. This is renata or slate, and the way that it compacts, it allows the water to flow right through it. So we do have barriers preventing anything from rolling down, but I'm currently standing on it, inspecting it, and there is zero sliding or any movement at all with this dirt. If you ask me, that is a testament to Andrea and his digging skills and how he just knows what to do. This is not his first time working on such a steep slope, and you just have to trust the experts.
Wow. Look, it's completely filled in.
Oh wow. That's a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
So if you remember back quite a few months ago when we were building our garden, we actually were digging out soil up here and discovered a natural spring. So we decided to dig that out and we surrounded it with stones and kind of turned it into our very own little pond up here. So now after that torrential downpour, all of the debris from up in the mountains has run down and filled up our pond.
So when we first found this natural spring and decided to dig it out and build up this little pond here, we weren't exactly sure what we were going to use it for, if it was going to be maybe a swimming hole. We did use it for an ice bath one time, or if it was strictly going to be used to water the garden. But I think now it's quite obvious that this is just for watering the garden, because what happens is all of the leaves and everything from the ravine wash down during a big rainstorm and fill up the basin, and then that kind of rots and turns into that perfect goodness for the garden. But eventually this will be a great way to water our garden. There's just not a big rush to install that pipe and do everything else considering the time of year. All right, so now that we have finished the living room, we are moving on to the office. We do, as promised, have a little bit of cleanup work in here to do, a little bit of digging, and unfortunately a little bit more jackhammering, but we'll make quick work of it and move straight on to the cement and the foundation. So the camera can't judge elevation change very well at all, so I thought I would do you a favor and spray paint a couple lines where we have some rocks and boulders sticking out. This pink line right here, actually a little bit beneath it, right about here, is where we need to dig down. But of course, back here, the mountain slopes up dramatically. Back in this far corner, that pink line there, actually quite a bit above it, all the way up to here is where the original floor used to come. The reason why this floor sloped up so dramatically is because this is the room they kept the cow. So the cows would hang out in these corners here, and as they did their business, it would slope down and run into the box that we found over there, and then later on had to empty.
Ew.
We tried to get the excavator to come into this room to break out this rock, but unfortunately he could not squeeze through the door. As you saw, the door was 81 centimeters and he was 80 centimeters, and as we squeezed through, the door flared in just a little bit and we could not fit, which means that all of this rock needs to be broken away by hand with our tiny little, somewhat pathetic jackhammer. So we have one more opening to pass underneath this room, not for utilities or pipes or anything like that, but we do want to have air moving from one part of the room to the other. So this corner that we've already worked on is both for utilities, pipes, and electricity, and as well as air. But then in the far corner, we're gonna do one more pipe or maybe even two more pipes that is strictly just for air movement. If this breaks, then that sits here, which goes to here, which goes to here. No piace. Piano, piano, qui. Because this doesn't sit very well on here, see? Piano, piano.
Yeah.
Okay, now I feel better.
Eh.
Okay.
Okay.